Hello everybody and welcome to the Top Producer Show. So our mission is to educate, equip, and train servant leaders. Our vision is to create financially independent achievers, and our purpose is to help people grow. And right now we are on to the next book by John Maxwell, How to Influence People. So with that, I'm gonna send this over to you.
All right, well, awesome book by John Maxwell and Jim Dornan. Jim Dornan is, or was, I believe he's deceased, a network marketer, and a big network marketer, by the way. So great book, amazing book, how to influence people. I thought this was really good because if you want to be able to recruit, if you want to be able to sell, if you want to be able to build anything significant, you have to be able to influence people. And it doesn't matter, a lot of people think influence has all to do with, like, you have to have a lot of money, you have to have the right position, you have to have all these things. And actually, it's yeah, that stuff helps, but it's none of those things. And that's what I thought growing up. I thought influence you had to have some high up position. You had to be a celebrity. You had to be a sports star. That's how you gain influence, and that's not how you gain influence. So we're going to talk about influence. The introduction was actually so interesting. The notes from today are just the introduction of this book. So who did you dream about when you grew up? And Jim Dornan actually starts out and says, who did you dream about becoming, when you first, were out in the world? What did you want to do? And most people, hi, Jim Bailey's here, Jerry's here, Colorado crew is here, that's awesome. Most people that I find, it's usually a celebrity of some type, a singer, an actor. It's usually some sports person. That's who most people, dream to become. Some people, they're like, I want to be president of the United States. I want to be, president of something. And typically people will pick people out that have influence, good or bad, right? But they want influence. Everyone has influence, is what Jim Dornan goes on to say. Tom, what's happening? Everybody has influence, which is really interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't understand that when I first started out in direct sales and network marketing. And we're going to talk about the good and the bad. Everyone is an influencer of people. It's just what kind of influence. You don't have to be a high profile occupation to actually influence somebody. You don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to be a sports star. In fact, if you want a strong, healthy family, you better be able to influence people, like your kids and your spouse. If you want to go to the restaurant you want to go to. No matter what your goals are, you can achieve them faster, you can be more effective, and the contribution you make can be longer lasting if you learn how to influence people. And that's directly from John Maxwell. If your influence is not equal with all people, your influence is not equal with all people. People respond to one another according to their level of influence. And I was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Stages of influence and their impact. So this goes back to John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. If you've read the book, if you understand those 5 levels, this becomes pretty easy understanding. Position, permission, production, people development, and the pinnacle. Position comes from, you have a position in a company, you get a position in an organization, you're a volunteer, you come in, you're brand new, whatever it is, you have a position initially. And that position doesn't necessarily grant you anything other than, hey, we're in the same industry, we're in the same job field, but you're new. So then the second part is, position. It starts with position, right? Then it goes to permission. You give someone permission to influence you. That permission usually has to do with what? The permission is usually, hey, I give you permission to lead me to where the copy machine is, or I give you permission to lead me how to turn in these TPS reports because I don't know how to do it. So initially, you let somebody influence you that might have been there one day longer just because they know something else. But that's how it starts, right? But permission, we give people permission usually because they've been there longer, or they know more, or we feel that they know more. Sometimes they don't know more, but we feel that they know more. So next we go to production. We're influenced by people because of their production. I had a couple people reach out to me yesterday, and it was because of production. Because I'm going online every single day now, and I'm actually contacting people via leads. And I had somebody way high up, I had a millionaire reach out to me, which was very cool, in the industry. It made millions. And he was like, what are you doing? Like, how does this work? I had another gentleman yesterday who's been extremely successful reach out to me. I had somebody reach out to me this morning that I'm supposed to talk to as soon as we're done. But once you start producing on a regular basis, and sometimes it's just getting into the activity of producing. You haven't even produced, I produce, but some people is just getting into the activity. People will start reaching out to you. Hey, what are you doing? Because you're producing, and people want to know, how do you produce? How do you get the energy? How do you get, where do you find your leads? People ask me all kinds of questions. So production. Then you get to people development. Hey, you've helped all these other people. How did you do that? I want to help people too. I want to know how you helped these people become successful. And the reality is, normally you didn't help them. You just found them, and they started doing what you were doing. Now, people have said, oh my gosh, you've helped me, you've helped me, you've helped me. I'm like, no, you kind of helped yourself. I just pointed you in the right direction. If you consider pointing people in the right direction help, that's great. And then last, the pinnacle, which is you've developed so many people, you basically have a reputation of doing things where people will follow you and you can influence people just because of what you've done before. Like if Tesla came out and said, hey guys, I'm starting a new company, he would be able to influence people because people are like, well, PayPal worked out, well, Tesla worked out, well, SpaceX worked out. Whatever this guy goes and does, he's going to do at a massive level. I'm in. Influence functions in a similar way, and it grows in stages. Stage number 1 is modeling. People are influenced by what they see. Now, this is really important when it comes to Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all the other social media platforms. What they see. So if they see you working, they'll reach out. If they see you sitting on the couch, they're not going to reach out, right? I mean, that's just how it is. They want to see something moving, something happening. And it's not necessarily selling your shit, which a lot of people try to do online. Sometimes it's like, I'm doing my work. I'm not even involved in what you're doing, but I'm going to let you watch what I'm doing. So people watch tile. I don't know if you've ever been online and you've come across like a power washing video. I've sat for like 30 minutes and watched people wash concrete. Why? It's so interesting. I don't know why it is. I've watched people tile. I love the stick guys. And I call them the stick guys because I don't know exactly what it is. Benny Boyle's here. What's up, sir? The stick guys that like have that, they literally, it looks like they have a stick. There's metal on one end and they're digging into the dirt. I think they're in Indonesia or the Philippines or Thailand or somewhere like that. And they'll build like a cave, and then they'll build a house, and then they'll build a pool, and then they'll build a hot tub underneath the cabin. I mean, it's wild. The stick guys are awesome. But I post a lot of that because you get to watch them work. You get to watch them work, and it's fascinating. Who's watching you work? Who are you influencing? It's a good question, right? When you meet people you don't know, at first you have no influence on them at all. Why? They don't know you. But if someone trusts, watch this, if someone they trust introduce you, they give you a temporary endorsement. That's where the three-way call comes through in direct sales and network marketing. The same thing can be true with a three-way text. You can influence somebody by text. I got one better. This one's really cool. I started doing this. Actually, I need to tell the rest of the team this because sometimes I start doing stuff and I don't know. I started introducing people with a video. So now I can be like, I'm just going to give you, for instance, Benny Boyles is here. I can introduce Benny to Brandy by filming a video. I take my phone and I hold it up here and I'm like, hey, Benny, what's going on? Real quick, I want to introduce you to, somebody who's truly successful. They're a naturopathic doctor. They've got a background, in, massage and holistic health. They're currently going for the real estate license, and they're a monster contactor in network marketing, and they're just getting things going. I want to connect you to, Miss Brandy Pember. Brandy, this is Benny. Benny's a friend of mine. I just wanted to connect the two of you. And then I hit stop, and then I send that video in a three-way text. Now, I've not only given an endorsement, but they can watch that whenever they want to. They connect through that three-way text. I've done my part where you hear the enthusiasm, because the problem with text message sometimes is you can't hear the enthusiasm. Now we have the enthusiasm too. And I can properly introduce people. So now I can send everybody those videos and teach people how to do it. It's awesome. And I learned that from Fraser Brooks, who influenced me. Why did Fraser Brooks influence me? Because so many other people that I knew liked Fraser Brooks, and he was so influential. By the way, Fraser Brooks built a team of 30,000 people using social media only, and he's a master at some of those things. Now, he also has a crazy dynamic personality. Like, the guy is magnetic, like a Holton Buggs, like a Jim Dornan, like a John Maxwell. I mean, he's got it. If you don't have it, here's what I can tell you. You can develop it. It's going to take time, and that's what we're going to talk about next. One interesting expectation to modeling, the modeling process occurs in the case of celebrities. So, and I wrote this, because people value entertainment more than education, people are easily influenced by celebrities they have never met. More often than not, they're influenced not by the actual individual themselves, but by the image of the person, and that image may not be accurate, right? I mean, because some people are horrible people, but they seem really cool online. Ellen DeGeneres. I don't want to mention any names, though. Level 2, motivating. You become a motivational influencer when you encourage people to communicate with them on an emotional level. So that's how you break through. How do you get to the emotion? You get to the emotion by doing one of two things. You have to influence them in a positive way. The fastest way to do this, if you want to get to somebody's emotion, is compliment them. That's the fastest way. Because if you compliment somebody, right, Laura? If you compliment somebody, by the way, Laura took an amazing picture. Brandy helped edit just the background, and her business card looks amazing. When you compliment somebody, it's hard not to pay attention to them. You just want to pay attention to them. Why? Because that compliment feels good, and it's rare anymore. You know, most people are criticizing you or critical of what's going on. Hey, you know, I looked at this online, and it has your name on it, and it says this, and, you know, I don't think you should have. And, you know, everybody has a comment, and everybody wants to be a critique, and, you know, everybody wants to criticize you. They've never built a statue of a critic, ever. There's no statue of critics. There's only a statue of people doing things. Compliments is the fastest way to get people emotionally connected to you.
Mm-hmm. And you have to make sure it's a genuine compliment, too, because people can tell if you're... Because at one point, after a network marketing training, we all went out and somebody said you need to find ways to be able to compliment people, but people can tell if that compliment is not genuine because it comes across wrong. The energy's not right. So you got to make sure, like, you can find something where it's a genuine compliment and it's not just fluff in a way. Because, like, people can tell. So you got to make sure that it's something genuine that you can compliment them on.
Correct. So in motivating people, the process does two things. First of all, it creates a bridge between you and them, you know, which is good. You want to build bridges with people, not roadblocks. And then second, it builds up their confidence and self-worth. Guys, if you can build up people's confidence and self-worth, they can go accomplish whatever they want to do. I've seen people go from literally nothing, you know, living in their car, to living in a house, to eventually becoming a millionaire in the industry. Why? Because somebody built their self-confidence. You know, one of the guys I learned this from, you know, him and his mom moved from Indianapolis out all the way to California. And the reason they moved all the way out there is to get away from some bad situations. And when they got there, you know, he was basically homeless. They were living in a truck. And he's like, it's very hard to be popular. But he managed to figure it out because he was just so excited to see other people. He was so happy and grateful that, you know, they would, you know, talk with him and accept him. And he learned how to be that, and the guy became a millionaire by the time. Actually, he made $147,000 as a 17-year-old kid in high school. I wanted to punch him in the face. I'll be real honest. Like, when he told me that, I was like, "What?" He's like, "God, I'm telling you, it's the mentorship." You know, I was around guys who were making millions, so they believed that I could make a few $100,000. I didn't believe I could make a few $100,000. I believed I could make $100,000. So I made $147,000 as a 17-year-old. That'd be really hard to be in school, especially economics class. And they're like, "You need to find a good job." I'm like, "You need to find a new business." I mean, I would have said some you probably shouldn't have said when I was in school. I'm guaranteed, because I said stuff I wasn't supposed to anyway. So when people feel good about you and themselves during the times they're with you, then your level of influence increases significantly. Like, that's the fastest way to do it. Compliment. Level 3 is mentoring. Mentoring is pouring your life into other people by helping them reach their potential, helping people overcome obstacles in their life, and showing them how to grow personally and professionally. You help them achieve a whole new standard of living, a whole new level. And that's really what you want to do. You know, I learned some things about money by some people who had money. Now, what's funny is the people around me growing up, I just had this conversation with my mom. I was like, you know, you never mentioned, you said pay your bills on time, but that's, I'll be real honest, that's not an education. That's like, no fucking shit. You're supposed to do that, right? I mean, like, that's how you stay in your house. That's how you stay in your car. You have to keep paying the bill. I get that. But there was no talk about what to do. You know, you should save money. What percentage? How much? Where should I put it? You know, you should invest. Great. How does that work? There was no education on that at all. And that's unfortunate, you know. But I sought out the people who had money and the people who relaxed about it, you know, not the people who were like sitting at a desk, crunched over, all stressed out. These people had money and they figured out how to do it. And I hung out with them and I learned a little bit. I just know a little bit about it. And now I'm trying to teach other people, hey, look, you want a better way. You know, number one is you got to have a budget. You know, I thought a budget was restricting what I was like, I'm not going to do a budget. They tell me what to do and how I have to do it. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. Well, the way I wanted to do it, I was broke. I don't know if you've ever been broke before, but like my ideas led me to bankruptcy, basically. My ideas were not good. So I had to use other people's ideas. And I was like, okay, successful people, how do you do this? What percentage do you put away? How much do you put away? When do you put it away? Where do you put it? Then what do you do with it? You know, and I started learning from people like Grant Cardone. You know, once you build up that stack big enough, then you take that stack of money, which is basically freaking worthless. By the way, the money itself is worthless. It's totally worthless. Now, what do I mean by worthless? People are like, well, I'll take it. I don't mean worthless like I'm going to give it away. I mean worthless like if it's just sitting there, it's not doing anything, it's not helping you because inflation and taxes will eat up that money faster than you can save. The interest rate isn't going to work because the interest rate in a savings account doesn't beat inflation, especially now. By the way, 20% of all the money that's ever existed in the United States has been printed in the last 5 years, which makes our money worth nothing. And then they're going to talk about printing another $3 trillion or $2 trillion. I mean, it's a lot. If they do that, now we've printed over 35%. That's how to bankrupt a country. You will bankrupt the country. Like your money will be worth nothing. It'll flip over. Somebody will have to come in and buy us out, which it will be China, by the way, because they're the only ones who would have enough money. And then China would own the United States. Go look at how China treats people from other places. They don't even treat their own people really well. I'll be real. And I'm talking about the country, not the people. I'm talking about the government, not the people. It's not good. So that's my cats are fighting. That's my talk on money. Like I started learning about money, and now I see stuff that other people don't see. Or people are like, oh my God, I didn't even see that. Yeah, if they bankrupt us, who's going to bail us out? England, who we fought, probably not. But they'd like to own us again, I'm sure. So your influence is either positive or negative. This was really interesting to me. So you are influencing people right now, whether that be good or bad. If you have kids, you're influencing them. Everything you do, your kids are watching. All of your fears, you're instilling in them. All of your bad decisions, you're instilling in them. Why? Because they're watching what you're doing. And that's unfortunate, right? When I learned this, I learned everything I was doing, I was influencing my brother. Everything I was doing, I was influencing my niece and nephew. Everything I was doing, I was influencing my friends. And I was doing stupid all the time. I was influencing them. So I'm like, I need to tighten this up. I gotta become a better example, because you're either a great example to follow or you're a lesson of what not to do. And you have to point that out to kids. Hey, you see that person? They're not a bad person. They're just a lesson of what not to do. Hey, you see this other person that has the car, nice house, everything? They are an example of what to follow. Positive influence is either positive or negative. Positive influencers add value to people. What do you think negative people do? They take value away from people. They crush your self-esteem. They give you all the reasons why you can't, and that's obviously not a positive thing. You didn't know what kind of influence you have on others today. You don't know what kind of influence you have on others today. Your actions may actually touch thousands of people. And they've done this, they said even the person at the lowest level who thinks has no influence will influence 10,000 people in their lifetime. So it's either going to be positive or negative. You got to figure that out. So with that being said, that is a wrap for today. What else, Brandy?
So if you haven't yet, you want to go to the Top Producer Show Facebook page and also go join us on YouTube and subscribe to there as well. And I know we've been jumping around between different platforms lately. We've been having some technical issues with a couple different platforms trying to get things set up. So either way, all the videos will always be shared on the Top Producer Show Facebook page. So if for whatever reason you can't find us here, you can't find us on YouTube, we've had to use a couple different accounts a couple different times. We don't know what the deal is. So.
And now it's showing people again, because for a while Facebook wasn't showing that we had anybody connected. It wouldn't allow us to connect. It's weird.
So, but that is the joy of growing, though, because whenever you're growing, you tend to have complications. So that is just, that's just a sign that things are going well when you start to have things not work. So, oh my goodness, these guys are hungry. So I will see you guys tomorrow, and we will see you then.